All right, it's October 2024. We have to decide who makes the best starter set.
Isn't it still GW?
You're supposed to save that till later.
Oh. Well, I said the end part at the start. Okay, we can turn it off.
I guess we just cut it, yeah. No.
It's just garbage time.
Hey guys, welcome to another Lords of War Games Hobbies video. I'm Chris, this is Jay. If you're tuning in for the first time, thank you very much for checking us out. And this topic came up because obviously Games Workshop is releasing their new Kill Team starter set in a few weeks. And quite frankly, for the price, it's going to be about 130 bucks Canadian, which puts it around 100, maybe 95 American. That's sweet spot.
Yep.
I was looking at it, I was like, man, I don't know for the price today if you can beat this. And let me preface that. What a starter set I think has to be is a complete experience, like where you can actually like get a full sense of what the game is like, right? So why, like, for example, their box that's called the starter set, I think is not that, is it only gives you like a sliver. Like, you get a lot of models, it's a great value, but I don't think you get like a full 40k experience.
Yeah.
You don't get to experience 40k. This is a full game of Kill Team.
Yeah.
With Space Marines and Death Guard, a rule book, some MDF terrain, which looks very nice, and all the stuff you need to play, essentially. Yeah, I was kind of like blown away. It's like pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's I would say it kind of is like this era's, whatever, Black Reach or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's, I know people always say that's the best one, probably because of like the number of minis and the price point. And you're probably right, but it's close. It's close. And again, adjusting for inflations and $2024 and what min wage is like right now. Yeah, like for the like mid wage, I think now is like pushing $18 here on where we are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, Black Reach was not a playable game.
No.
And
even at $75, it was like...
It was a lot of minis for the price.
$75 when min wage was like $9.
Yeah.
You could argue that the Kill Team box is better value. But yeah, its real argument is like, are you getting the best, most complete experience?
Yeah.
Are you going to open it and play it and feel like you got everything and not like not just the taste?
Right.
So it's very good.
And let's throw a few comparables out there. Like to be fair to other companies, like you've got Operation Sand Trap coming out. You laugh every time I say Sand Trap.
I don't know the name. It's the new Infinity Star.
And because you laugh, I'm like, did I say it wrong? It looks really cool. It's in the same era of like all the Infinity stuff where like you have. Basically like, pretty full Infinity experience out of the box because you get terrain, like really nice, decent terrain.
Yeah, for backtracking on the name, I think it's because I always feel like they take two words and smash them. Like, we had Black Wind was one of them. I was like, what does that mean? Like, anyway, and there was another one before that. Well, Ice Storm I'm okay with.
That's a real word.
That's like a real world word.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. You've never been in a sand trap, I see.
I guess not. They should just call it Sandstorm or something.
You want to Storm again?
Why not?
Oh,
or just, I don't know.
Yeah, Sandstorm would have been better.
Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Storm.
Lightning Storm. It's just...
okay.
Anyway, so...
But that's going to be about $190, $200 Canadian. Like,
so their box used to be 125, 130, and they kind of pioneered the box with the two crews. Again, it was very complete. This Kill Team concept, they had it already. They had like two armies, enough terrain, a nice little board, rules, everything, some dice, and it was like 125. And you would get it and be like, this was fun, this was perfect.
Yeah.
And now maybe it's because of the material they're in, the metal, the price of making their stuff. It is a lot more money now.
Well, yeah, the last couple of years has not been kind to anyone, really. And the cost of doing business is just like way through the roof, right? So,
and you're getting, and they're metal or resin or whatever minis, like, so say what you will, like, yeah, metal minis can be very nice when they're done, but working with them, I'm of the opinion that I'll take plastic 10 out of 10 times or whatever. Like
10 out of 10.
just
10
like
out of 10, yeah.
I've since GW revolutionized that part of the tabletop miniature world with making it all plastic with their level of quality. I'm awful. I will just not play a game if it's not. I was just like, I don't care.
That's brutal.
It's brutal, but that's my brutal honesty. Yeah, I'll just be like, nah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with being honest about what you like and don't like. Yeah, I think. And then we've got other comparables. Let's throw out Crisis Protocol.
Sure.
Their newest starter set is around the $200 mark as well. Still a great box. You've got 10 models in there.
So that's where the quality's like on par.
Yeah.
But the price is like
it's
way higher.
Much higher. Yeah, much higher.
Yeah.
And you could argue you get a little bit more in the Marvel box in terms of like you get like some plastic terrain versus like the MDF terrain. Okay, okay, and there's maybe more. I don't even know if there's more tokens, but in terms of the gameplay experience, you're not necessarily getting more. You're just getting something different, right? Yeah. The Marvel one I'm okay with. The Shatterpoint one seems less, but you get a lot of terrain. Yeah. And I feel like you need to add on a lot to that one to really flush it out. Whereas the Marvel one, you could probably buy and never buy another thing if you wanted to. Yeah, you could keep it as its own thing.
Kind of feels more complete, but again, almost $100 more.
And then to give something that's a little different, but also a playable starter set, like you've got like your BattleTech, which comes in under $100.
I mean, the BattleTech one is phenomenal because again, if the criteria is game experience, very good for the sub $100.
And the only argument you can make there is you could argue you're getting a reduced experience because there's no terrain in the box per se, right? Yeah. So now you get flat terrain. Yeah. Which is fine.
Yeah. And I think you can play the classic mode. Which is just like a hex map.
Exactly. They have classic in there, which you would be getting the full experience. Yeah. So I think if you're gonna give the crown to somebody just to say like who's doing it for the cheapest and is being really effective, you probably got to give it to BattleTech in recent years just because of their offering is very, very good, very complete. It's obviously worked well because there's a lot of people playing Alpha Strike and collecting it and buying the stuff. And you gotta say, man, like Games Workshop's onto something here with getting the price point right on this particular starter set because they are undercutting almost everybody. Yeah. By not a few bucks. Yeah. Because like and this is I'll put we're obviously shills here on this channel as we're famously known for super shills. Yeah. If you want to make the argument, which I often do, that their quality is superior. You could say, well, if they're offering the product for the same price and their product is superior, like the quality of the miniatures is superior, then you're getting like they're already beating the competition. Yeah. But now they're undercutting on price as well as giving you superior model quality. Yeah. That's pretty savage. That's pretty savage.
Yeah. No, they've obviously saw the success of the previous iteration of the Orcs and
Deathcore
Veteran. Yeah. And they just said, we're going to make it again. And I'm trying to think, because the terrain was minimal, but it was plastic in that one.
It was plastic, but it was very minimal. Like you got little scatter terrain bits.
So they've kind of just like maintained it, charged probably like $5 more or whatever it is, and probably made cheaper terrain on their end. So they found a way. They found a way to squeeze a bit more out of it in terms of like what their profit will end up being per box, but there was a goal that they said absolutely still has to fit into that box. It has to be this like can't cost more than this, has to be the introductory. So I'm glad that they didn't just like take it and try and push it just more expensive cuts or whatever. So
yeah, and it's something that they could have done easily, right? Like, the arguments we're as the shills we are, we do recognize that like they are industry leaders, but they also are price leaders in a lot of ways. They push the prices of stuff up because they can and because they do.
You can blame them for everyone else's.
Well, and to be honest, if you're one of these other companies, most of the time you're grateful because if they're pushing prices higher in the miniature world, that means you get to charge more as well for your stuff
raise it,
because they've basically set the standard for what something's supposed to cost, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not those companies take advantage of that is something completely different and separate. But yeah, it's interesting to see because I think we've gotten away for a few years from like seeing like really good quality starter boxes for games. And it's nice to see some return to like companies paying attention and saying like, no, these things can be loss leaders. You know what I mean? Like these things we don't have to make the same margin on this product that we make on our regular stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's about getting people into the hobby for less money and creating that first experience. That's a quality experience.
Yeah.
And I think like Asmodee I'm not sure they ever knew that lesson based on their decision making recently, because all of their starter boxes have basically doubled in price. But the problem there is they're essentially offering the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like when you compare the first Marvel Crisis Protocol box to the newest one, no one's going to argue that the models in the second box aren't better, but they're also like 3 years later on, 3.5 years, 4 years later on, and it's still like you still look at that first box, you're like, wow, for 100 and whatever, 115, 110 bucks, that is a starter set. That is why so many people picked up Marvel for the first time.
Well, and they would also look at the backs on the wall and they'd be like, oh, 2 for 55 or 2 for 60. And you're like, I get 12 or whatever in here. Like the value proposition. It's still good now, but it was like, it's insane. I think raising the and GW keeps doing these like switcheroos because we're in this launch box era of sub $300 or $300 launch boxes. I would not be surprised if like next year all of a sudden it's like back down to 240 or 60 somehow. Like I've seen them do this. Like
they have a history of this where like they put it's a bit like, I don't know, it's a stupid comparison to the gasoline cartels. Where they do this thing with prices where they push them to a ridiculous point, or where there's like a breaking point, and then they drop them down, and they're above where they were before still, but it feels so much cheaper that people get all this goodwill or whatever, right? And I'm not saying Games Workshop's doing that, but they're, like you said, if they just came out next year and their whatever launch boxes, like you said, are like 10 or 15% cheaper than the previous year's boxes, people will be like, it would be bonkers.
They're listening to us. It's great. They love me again, and I love them.
It reminds me of like they did this with the Star Collecting sets in 2015, 2016, something like that.
$100.
They're like $100 or 85 American dollars for a bunch of miniatures. Like 40% savings. Here you go, guys. We're listening. We want to make the hobby more affordable.
And then they shoved one extra box of minis per Star Collecting, and now they're $200 each.
That's right. Eventually, the bean counters get into the room and say, we're giving this away for too little. And it starts to creep up again, and then eventually hits a breaking point. So we always see these cycles, right? And right now, it feels like, at least seeing this like Kill Team starter set, it makes me feel like someone there is still thinking like, we need to be price sensitive on some of our items. Because we need to keep making sure new hobbyists are getting into our games. And they need to be, they need to be competitive. They need to be affordable.
So I mean that's going to be their best of their lineup, probably their best box. I mean the big launch boxes are the best, like the Costco value, if you want to call it, where you're going to save the most. But well, and keep in mind, I'm like,
talking about this, what's the best starter set? Like obviously that's for someone who wants to build, paint, and play.
Or if you would split it with someone, and what do you get?
The starter set for 40K is still a way better deal than the Kill Team one if you're just looking for lots of models. So, but like I said, I think like the goal of Games Workshop should always be for the starting hobbyist to give them the best chance to be a complete hobbyist, whether they want to or not. Have that as an option, right? And have the best experience possible for that thing. So like, they've made strides towards that with this the starter set ones, which have like Combat Patrol or Spearhead built into the box, right? I think you get a closer attempt at what a full game is. What do you guys think? Like, let us know in the comments. what games you think make the best starter sets. What was your first starter set? Actually, that'd be a fun one to talk about. Mine was the second edition Warhammer 40,000 starter box, which was a horrible box for someone starting the hobby because it was so complicated. It was awesome, like I loved it at the time, but it was so full of stuff. It was really confusing to play, and I don't think I played a game for years after even having it. So it failed on that part, but I'm obviously still in the hobby.
Sure.
So,
Yes.
What about you? What was your
It
first
was
starter
the
set?
third at 40k one.
Oh, that was a good box.
It was good, but also awful.
Yeah.
Horribly balanced. No balance. So I took the Dark Eldar, and
Of course you did.
awful.
They're so bad. Rocker hair. Couldn't kill the land speeder with your weapons.
Could not kill the land speeder. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do very much. It's the realization when you roll some dice and go, oh, I don't get saves, but you get saves because the armor piercing. Yeah.
Nasty. Well, yeah, let us know, guys, what you think, and hopefully you check us out next week when we do more videos like this. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and if you really like us, check us out on Patreon, Lords of War Games and Hobbies. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.